Burns versus Chimaev. Are they going to fight again? Who is going to be the winner? Burns literally said, "I want a rematch." And on the other hand, UFC Women's Bantamweight Silva said, "This is not just a fight I am facing, the fight of my life." And that's a pretty heavy statement. Well, there's lots of stuff going on this week, and for that, I'm here to give you the latest updates regarding the UFC, Khamzat Chimaev, and much more. Now, Bueno is expected to take on Yanan at UFC Vegas 51 on April 16th at the UFC Apex. The card is scheduled to be headlined by a welterweight match between contenders Vicente Luque and Belal Muhammad. When Gilbert Burns received his contract for the fight against Khamzat Chimaev at UFC 273, he only had one question in mind. "I asked my manager, Ali Abdelaziz, hey, why 3 rounds? Burns told MMA Fighting. "No, I'm fighting this guy. I'm giving him a courtesy. I'm the number 2 ranked fighter. He's number 11. Give me 5 rounds. But it didn't happen. According to Burns, he not only accepted the fight against Chimaev, but he sought out the matchup against a fighter who had suddenly been deemed as the scariest prospect the welterweight division has ever seen. He had no problem with the timing for the matchup or where they were at on the pay-per-view main card, but Burns wanted to truly test Chimaev, and that was going to require 25 minutes. "I requested it, and I requested it a couple of times. Ali did too," Burns said about the 5-round fight. "I don't know if it was because of the 2 title fights maybe. I don't know. I didn't get an answer. The way I see it, we've got to do it again. It's got to be 5 rounds next." A lot of respect to Khamzat. Despite only having 3 rounds to work, Burns gave Chimaev everything he could handle while blasting the undefeated prospect with a number of hard shots that left him rattled. All 3 judges ultimately scored the fight 29-28 in favor of Chimaev, and while Burns believes he could have walked away with the victory, he's not screaming about some kind of injustice done to him just because he didn't earn the decision. "I watched the fight a couple times," Burns said. "A lot of things that I trained I didn't do, as in training. I should have thrown a little bit more calf kicks, and whenever he switched stances, the right kick was there. So much happening. I didn't move my head at all, but I think it was a good performance. I think I put on a show for the fans. I think he was very tough too. He won the first round with the little knockdown that I had. A freaking knockdown. The guy changed southpaw. That happens sometimes when they change southpaw. I eat that jab, and that was a very hard jab, and he put me down. I won the second round, and I feel I threw a lot of bombs in the last round." The back-and-forth slugfest earned the welterweights an extra $50,000 each for the fight of the night at UFC 273, and it's hard to imagine that battle won't end up as one of the top fights for all of 2022. While he didn't feel robbed by the decision, Burns still feels like he has unfinished business with Chimaev because he truly wanted a definitive ending, and neither of them got that. "The way I see it right now, we're not done," Burns said. "Me and Khamzat, we have to see each other again. I gave him a courtesy. I'm waiting for the courtesy back. I know he moves forward. I know the UFC wants to make the Colby-Covington fight, but we're not done. I want to fight Khamzat again. I think when a fight is super close, I don't want to judge the fight. I'm not a judge. I threw a lot of things at this guy, but I just feel we're not done. We've got to get that one done. Someone has to go down. 5 rounds, 7 rounds, someone has got to go down next time." After the fight was over, Chimaev paid homage to Burns after they went to war together in the octagon, but he also didn't back down from a request for a rematch. Burns didn't really feel the need to take anything away from Chimaev based on his performance at UFC 273, but he knows whether it's the next fight or a year down the road, they will meet again. Look at what Gilbert Burns said.
"You don't really look like you just went through a freaking 3-round war."
Yeah, I wish it was 5, but a little bruising in that shoulder a little bit, lower back super tight. What else? On my right elbow here, little face, but knuckle is banged up. That arm from one of these kicks that he kicked me hard, bro. Back and kick, but nothing broken, nothing bad. Feeling good.
Yeah, to talk about with you, coming out of that fight, Gilbert. Let me just, kind of a broad question. We'll break down the entire fight, but kind of give a broad question. Like, kind of give me, in terms of the decision, all those kind of things. Like, how would you kind of grade that performance?
I'm very critical of myself. I watched the fight a couple of times. A lot of things that I trained, I didn't do as a training. A little bit more calf kicks, and whenever he switched stance, the right kick was there. I had a lot of ideas. I had it all, but I think it was a good performance. I think I put on a show for the fans. I think it was very tough too, but a little knockdown that I had, freaking knockdown when the guy changed southpaw, That happens in Southpaw. I eat that jab, and it was a very hard jab. He put me down. I threw a lot of bombs in the last round. That was always I didn't care about the car. He hit me hard one time. I was going down a little bit, but he hit me again. He kind of woke me up, and I went forward, threw bombs.
UFC women's bantamweight Mayra Bueno Silva had quite the help ahead of her fight against Yanan at UFC Vegas 51. Tara spent her camp training alongside none other than Bellator featherweight champion and former UFC champ Chris Cyborg. In an interview with Combate, Bueno explained what made her decide to move to the United States and train with Cyborg. Furthermore, Mayra also explained what made her decide to fight in the bantamweight division again. "I'm really happy with this opportunity Cyborg has given me," Silva said. "I came to the United States and I wanted to challenge myself. I wanted to be a flyweight and everybody told me not to do it, but I wanted to. I thought that my opponents were good and I wanted to fight them, but I couldn't perform that well. I was unable to perform in all of my 5 flyweight fights. Then I went back to my original division. I wanted to fight the heaviest and the best in the world, so I came here. Plus, my mom is a huge fan of Chris's. I will listen to my mom because moms are always right, and it was the best thing I've ever done. I realized I belong at bantamweight, and training with Chris has been sensational. She's a champion inside and out of the cage." In her last outing, Silva, now with a record of 7-2, dropped a unanimous decision to Manon Fiorot back in October 2021. Before that, the 30-year-old fought Montana De La Rosa to a majority draw in February of the same year. Tara's last win happened in September 2020 when she finished Mara Romero Barea via armbar. Mayra Bueno Silva said, "I am facing the fight of my life," on an interview with ESPN.
I don't see nothing about her.
Okay. Do you prefer that?
I prefer don't see.
Because it just means you can focus on you and not them.
Then I prefer don't see nothing about my opponent.
That's very cool. Thank you.
Do you think she's going to come in here and maybe fight a little bit more erratic because she might have more pressure on her shoulders?
Ela tá vindo de algumas derrotas.
I think UFC is very difficult to fight, and then I don't know. I don't know, but I put pressure on her, and then her have think about me. No other fights.
Quickly, will you see that in your opponent's face when you could tell if you're breaking your opponent or if that you're getting to see that in your opponent?
Com que velocidade você consegue perceber isso na luta quando você conseguiu entrar na...
Assim que ela entra no cage. Quando ela entra no cage, eu olho para ela e eu já sei que ela tá com medo. Porque eu sei o meu poder de nocaute, que tem umas bombas na mão, que tem umas pedras na mão. Então, quando elas entram e tomam a primeira porrada...
I can see it the time she entered the octagon. I can feel this, she's scary or not, and feel it.
Outside of this fight, what sort of goals are you setting for yourself for the rest of this year?
Objetivos pro resto do ano.
I'm focusing this.
And that's it for this video. Hey, don't forget to leave this video a like and subscribe to this channel for more info. And as soon as you get that done for me, I will take care of your knowledge and learning experience, so we both win.